Sound of the bad circulator, making a pretty obvious ticking sound, which it shouldn't do. And it just started doing that all of a sudden. Okay, so the circulator pump on our Boilermate started ticking really loud. We're going to go ahead and start draining the water. The first thing we're going to do is shut off all the valves with water coming in and out of the Boilermate. So I went over to the furnace and we're shutting off all the water that's coming in, as well as the return that we shut off up here, and then the cold water supply, and lastly the hot water going out to the sinks and the tubs and stuff. That's all shut off, I think, so we're going to put a bucket under the relief valve down here, if I can get under there. So we got the bucket underneath that the pressure valve. We're going to open the pressure valve here, and it should start getting a lot of water coming out. And there it is. We're going to let that drain. Looks like we got all the pressure out. Nothing else coming out there. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the hose to the this one valve that is at the end of the pump. Put that in the bucket and let that drain too. So I've got this hose connected to the valve at the end of the circulator. I got the hose going in the bucket, and I'm going to open that up and let that drain off. And there could be quite a bit of water in there, whatever the capacity is of the Boilermate itself. Might take a couple buckets to empty out here. So this stopped draining. There's nothing else coming out of the hose. I'm going to go ahead and shut this valve off just so I can empty the bucket. And then when I'm done, I'm going to come back and go over to the furnace on this end. And that's the stop valve for the return. The water that comes out of the Boilermate after it's kind of cooled off a bit, goes back over and into the furnace's return, just like all the other zones for the heat, the floorboard heat. So I'm going to finish draining the bucket, and I'm going to come over to the furnace and I'm going to just drain that one valve over here too. Make sure there's no water in the system. It's going to return back up when I take the circulator off, and then we should be good to go. So our bucket's empty. I'm going to come over here. I can squeeze my bucket in and get it under the drain valve here. So we can let some more water out of this. And it looks like there's nothing in there. We got it all out. And go ahead and shut that back up. And at this point, we should be pretty much ready to remove this circulator. And just check once again, make sure there's no water here. Nothing coming out. And then go ahead and get my tools and take those bolts off. So we're ready to go here. One thing I should have mentioned is I'm going to take these electrical connections off the circulator. So I'm going to take it off the circulator side. There's a couple screws here on the panel. Take those off, disconnect the wires. I've already shut off my emergency cutoff switch here. And you can see the furnace is off. The boiler maker is off. Just for shits and giggles, I might go ahead and shut the breaker off too. So I can go in the breaker panel. I trace this guy into the breaker panel, and I think I've already got it labeled. I'm going to shut that off too. So I've got the cover off the connector now, and what you see is pretty typical. You got the capacitor, and you've got the white and black leads coming from the boiler maker themselves. And what you have to do is the white typically goes to white, and the black can go to yellow. I believe it doesn't even matter which way these go. There's no hot or neutral on these. So I'm going to just do the exact same thing they had there. I'm assuming my new circulator that I'm going to go buy at Home Depot is going to have the same thing, probably a yellow and a black wire just like this. I'm going to wire them the same way. So just make a little note of how they were wired. So you can see here when I took the, I started releasing that one set of bolts here, there's still some water that's in the circulator. So no matter how much you drain the water out of the end drain valve, you're still going to have some water in the circulator that you've got to deal with. So I forgot, and I stuck my handy little pan here underneath and wait for that water to drip out. I'm going to empty that pan into my bucket, clean up some of the water that's spilled out, and then I should be good to remove the rest of the circulator. You can see I've got the wires off already. Got them capped just in case. Probably should be a little farther away from that water, but I know all the breakers and stuff are off, so I'm good. Okay, so we got the circulator off, and here you go. Looks like it's not totally shot inside. I can see the little impeller there that should spin. Everything looks okay. It's kind of black and cruddy in there. The my O-rings are pretty darn flat. Let's see if I can pick it off, but they look pretty crunched up to me. They're actually square O-rings. That's not bad. So it wasn't leaking at all. So I'm just gonna leave that in place. I'm gonna take this sucker to my local plumbing shop. I'm gonna try Home Depot first because they supposedly have these guys in stock. So if they do, I'm gonna get the same one. If not, I'm gonna go to a local plumbing supply shop. And there you go. See inside the Boilermate and the other flange. Came off real easy. Nothing there that anyone couldn't do at home. Just a couple wrenches. So I'm going to run out now and get my replacement part and come back and put it on. And 30 minutes later, we're back from Home Depot. We've got the new circulator here. Different color. It's green, not black like the other one. But it's identical other than that. Same exact part number. Everything's exactly the same. And make sure you check the direction too. Every pump has an arrow on it that shows which way the water is going to flow. And fortunately this is exactly the same as the black one I just removed. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted up there first with the plumbing fixtures, and then when I get that on I'm going to start doing the wiring. So we had one minor complication. The new pump is actually 100% upside down from the other one. You can see the arrow pointing this way, but I need to mount it this way, which means the flow of the water is going to be the wrong way. So I've got to literally flip the housing on the top that's got the electronics in it. That has to be flipped 180 degrees, and they tell you how to do that. You just basically remove these 4 Allen bolts and spin this thing 180 degrees so that the wiring is always on the top. Because if I were to install it with the right flow, it'd be upside down like that. So I'm going to have to flip it and flip that housing. I'm going to do that now.